This
connect with all of
conference
you.
will now be recorded.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes. I think I can hear you, so I'm guessing they all can. The microphones are muted.
Okay, so is it my time to talk to everyone right now, or you still have other things to say?
Let me just make sure Mr. Mark is on board. Mark, are you online? Okay, it seems he's not online. So yes,
Can
I
you
can
hear me
call you
now?
Kushal, yes?
Can you hear me?
Sorry?
This is Max Sarbuck. You can hear me now, I suppose.
This is oh, okay, okay, yes. Now I can hear you. I think your microphone was
Yeah.
muted. All right,
Yes.
brilliant.
All
I
right.
think
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you from Ghana, and good morning to those in New York and the USA on the East Coast.
all right, I'm sure they'd love to respond, but the microphones are muted. It's great and amazing to have you two both online. First of all, thank you guys for making the time, and we are really looking forward to learning so much from you. So I think to start this off, we can start with Kushal. Please just share your experience with us in the sector of networking. I'm sure online we have both YALDA youth, we have other people probably who are working in the different careers and would like to learn as much as they can. So you go ahead, take the flow, and then we shall give the floor to Mark, and then we shall open the questions from the viewers. So Kushal, the floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me on this webinar. Glad to be able to talk to all of you. From a networking perspective, I think to keep it very short and right to the point. Networking is very important in your career. Networking is something you need to really give time to in terms of how you actually plan your career. And I know later you will be having a presentation on networking skills. I will leave that on what are the skills of how you network. But for me personally, the path of my career. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. So I don't know where I left, but I think it just became unmuted on its own. So I was saying networking for me has been very key on my career at the UN, but also prior to joining the UN. Let me give you a little bit of hints about networking to energize you a little bit. In terms of networking, I always say there are some key principles about networking. First of all, it's having some core foundation of what exactly you bring in your personality before you even network. Because I remember the first time I started networking, if I was having a personality that doesn't fit to even network, that by itself would be already not a good sign. So what I mean about personality is, what I mean about foundation is, I encourage all of you to really pay attention to three key things. And it's part of the core values of the UN, but I'm sure it's part of the core values of even life for all of you. One is, to be very professional, to really know what you want, to be a subject matter expert before you even network with someone, to understand, the whole, the knowledge about what exactly you're going to network. The second most important thing is integrity. I remember the times when, when I was in some networking events, there are many people who comes for networking, but they are not, I will call them the fake networkers. You got to have that element of integrity. You got to build that in yourself. That, look, I have a solid foundation with me that builds on integrity. I'm someone who is honest. I'm someone who is very particular about how I actually talk to people and what exactly I want to get from that people. That's the second thing. The third thing is definitely, and I know all of you do it a lot in your current place, wherever you are, is respect for other people, respect for diversity. If you don't have these three core values, already you cannot network in a good networking environment. These are key principles that I've learned. These are things that you need to really take into context and develop it daily in your life. How can I be how can I develop my integrity skills? How can I develop my diversity skill, respect for diversity skills? How can I make myself more professional in the way I will network? And I'm sure, with the help of all the organizers, they can give you more inputs on that. So that's been the key success for me to even start before I start networking. Then I would say the second thing to do after you have that foundation is to really build the skills of talking skills, presentation skills, grooming skills, so that you're also ready in terms of when you're put in a networking environment, you have certain skills, you have certain elements with you that you can actually use to network. That's something that's been very powerful. The third is, don't only think about networking from an element of you talking. Build your social media platform. Nowadays, social media is everywhere. Build a good social media platform about yourself, about how you want to network. When I'm talking social media, I'm not just talking about Facebook, Instagram, and all of this. LinkedIn could be one of them, but also any other things, within where you work right now. You do have some of you must be using SharePoint in the company. You're using different email medium. Have a picture, put yourself, participate in these forums so that people get to know who you are, not just by name, but also your face, what you do, and just be honest about it again. You don't need to. Sometimes, people on LinkedIn, they oversell themselves about, they are already like a finance specialist in this field, but when you look at what you've done, it's not really a specialist. So be very honest about it, which comes back to integrity. So these are things which I think you need to also be cognizant about. So after you've built that social media background behind it, and you yourself has actually built the skills to start networking, the third thing is a lot about getting out of your comfort zone. And it's hard. It took me a long time to really feel in a space where I can approach people and talk. And I was living in Nairobi, Kenya for the last 4 years before I just moved to New York, knowing also, the cultural dimension of us, of we, people from the African continent. Sometimes we're a little bit shy. We don't know how to really portray ourselves. I would say it's very critical for you to also break that comfort zone by saying to yourself some good goals that you want to do with regards to networking, which comes to my third or fourth point, which is, if you want to build your networking skills, you got to have today itself create a very smart goal for you for the next 3 to 6 months. It's called a networking goal, which I would call myself. The way I do it is, for example, one of my networking goal when I just joined this work is, in the next 3 months I need to meet maybe 100 new people. For me, it's easy because I'm in the field of work. For you guys, even if it's 10 new people you need to meet professionally. I'm talking professionally, not personally. If you can meet 10 people as your goal, that's by itself is a success. So develop that networking goals. Think about it in terms of very smart output of what you want. So I want to meet 10 people so that I can develop my skills in the area of work that I am. Be more particular about it. And this is something which you can Google. What exactly is a smart goal? So that's another thing which is an advice that I can give you. Have that networking goal already built in right now. If there's one thing you take away from me, what I've said right now, other than the foundations, the key, the values, is also about creating that goal. It's not easy, but you need a goal. Otherwise, forget about networking. You will not even reach there. So that's important. The other thing when it comes to networking is, once you've got out of your comfort zone, don't measure success in terms of uh, what kind of chemistry or what kind of output you get from meeting people. In networking, there's no success. Go there with an open arm. Go there with an open mind to listen, to learn. But don't go there to just expect that with that conversation that you're having with me, you need to get something very concrete out of it. Meaning, Concrete meaning for you would be like, I need to get a job, I need to get a CV, I need to get a resume, I need to get this contact. Don't build that kind of expectation in networking. Have your goals to meet someone, but let the conversation dictate where it has to go, without you having a lot of things that you expect from it. Of course, phrase in your mind, and it comes to your smart goal, what are the kind of questions you're going to ask the person that you're networking with? So that's important. So if you were to meet me tomorrow in a forum and you're not working with me, I expect you to come prepared. I expect you, when you've already broken the ice with me, hi Kushal, my name is X, I work for this, I'm doing this, I'm learning this, can I have 5 minutes of your time? I want to ask you about your experience working in the UN, how that's been. Be very concrete of building that conversation without having an expectation that you're going to get something out of return of it. Because networking is about connection. It's not necessarily about having an output that is concrete for you. Once you build this connection, these connections will be able to help you or support you or make you grow down the line. So that's what I'm saying. Build that connection at very early on itself. The last thing I want to say, because I want to keep it also to give an opportunity to other colleagues to speak, is once you've got out of comfort zone, once you build that connection, keep engaged with the person that you've networked with. So if I've given you, or if I added you to my LinkedIn after this conversation, have a way of engagement with me down the line. It doesn't need to be like, and this engagement is very important. Sometimes I do get people who have met in networking events who are now on my LinkedIn. They send me messages which I feel sometimes they have a lot of room to grow before I even can respond to these kind of messages. For example, I have this guy who I met in Kenya, who, we met in a networking event, young graduate like you guys. And then, I said, let's stay in touch. Join me on my LinkedIn. He sent me a message last week asking me, I want to apply for jobs in the UN. What should I do? This is a waste of my time of networking. There are so many resources out there for you to find this answer on your own. Why are you actually sending me a message to ask me this? So also be very cognizant. What exactly and how exactly you're going to manage your network. Your network are busy people or people who also have a lot of things to do. So managing that network is very important. One of the tips I must say in managing your network is, from time to time, think about where you are in your networking goals and maybe ask for an advice, ask for an opinion. Maybe you can drop me an email or drop me a line by saying, for the last 6 months, I've been trying to penetrate the world of the big four in accounting, but I feel like, I'm a little bit stuck. What ideas do you have that I might need to do? Very broad question rather than being specific. And some of these answers, you might already have it on Google or on LinkedIn or on the internet, but just to have something very concrete that you will bring to manage your network. The other thing is, the last thing maybe I would just say now is, if you do meet your network from time to time along the course of your career, so every 6 months, every 1 year, every 2 years, again, get out of your comfort zone by showing to your network what is it that you've done with your networking goal that have actually you've learned, like how you've grown yourself during the course of your networking goals. Because sometimes I do meet people who have coached for a long time, who have mentored for a long time, who is part of my network, but I don't see, like I started the conversation, I don't see the urge of that person to really build what I've actually taught that person or I've actually coached that person. I see that person is still doesn't still have that foundation that I've set. So they are still a bit fake. They want to get information from me, but they don't really have a plan. They are not that focused in what they want. So then that itself, it really, uh, I would call it, it's like a waste of the time of both people to be part of that network. So be very real and very output driven with goals, with on what you want to achieve in your networking. So I will stop here because I'm sure you might have questions maybe later. But for me, just to say, networking has been very key in my career from the time I joined university, from my first job 15 years ago, it has been very important. And I must say, I have a very good network of people. I also have people who have added to my network, removed from my network. But networking is the key of success for all of you in this era of where we're living. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kushal, for that very elaborate presentation. In case any of you are listening and you have some questions for him, kindly just type them in your chat box, and I'll be able to just summarize them all later for him to answer. Please make sure the questions are not something that has been already said, so that we can have a valuable engagement. And then, yeah. So next, we're going to have our second guest speaker for this evening, Mark. Mark, please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Max Saba, and first of all, thank you very much for the unique opportunity to share with many of my brothers and sisters on the African continent and everywhere. I think it speaks volumes about the degree to which all of us, the youths, have a stake in the development of our continent. I'd like to share with you some of my experiences. I just actually moved to Ghana on July the 3rd after graduating from Harvard, where I was one way or the other regarded as the person, the node in a lot of networks in many ways. So I wanted to share with you some of my experiences that have come in handy in my attempts at building a solid network over the years, and some of the principles that have worked for me. First of all, I'd say that one of the things that has helped me in building a strong network, I also would like to first and foremost understand what the networking is for. I think networking has different reasons. A person could be in school and wants to build a strong network of people that he could rely on later on when he graduates. It could be that you're trying to network to get a job, or even within your organization, intra networking to climb up the ladder. But at the end of the day, what I learned from some of my experiences is that networking and for that matter, sort of the people actually saying good things about you goes a long way, much more than the technical skills you acquired. But so first of all, I would say that find people with similar goals and purposes. Now, when you go to a conference or things of the sort, I think because you have so many people and there's a tendency, I think in February, I was at the Harvard Business School Africa Business Conference. And when you have over 1,000 young people from the African continent coming together, sometimes you can get sidetracked by the sheer volume of people. There's so many panels here and there. But I have the habit, I would say that before I go to the conference or before I go to any of those events, sort of being clear about what I want to get out of that. So that when I go there, I know exactly who I want to connect with before I go there. Now, so I'll say have a plan beforehand when you're going to a conference, for instance, or a networking event of the sort. Have a plan in regards to what you want to get out of that. And so when I go there, it gives me lucidity, it gives me clarity in regards to who I want to talk to. And so, in the process of actually doing that, talking to the person, what some of the principles that has worked for me, I'd say, is first of all, you need to, just like in any persuasion on any kind of argument, there are three principles which I call ethos, logos, and pathos. Your ethos is your credibility. It's like when you meet a person, first of all, you're emotionally trying to evaluate this person to see if this is a person I would like to connect with, if this is a person I would like to have in my network. And that plays a role in how much you're able to connect with that person, how convincing you are in trying to connect with that individual. And so when I meet people, first and foremost, I think one of the very important things that has helped me is listening. First, listen much more than you talk. Particularly, one of the things I've realized since I've been back in Ghana, and I watch a lot of young people trying to network, particularly with people that are like in higher positions of authority. The first thing they do, which I think is wrong, is take out their card and give it to the person, which I think is absolutely sort of contrary to what you should be doing. What you should be doing when you meet a big shot or anyone for that matter is listening first. So you can ask the question, oh, it's a pleasure to meet you. What brings you to this conference? Or if you know the person already, you could say, for instance, I met Bello Saji, who happens to be a big shot. And I said, look, you've been a source of inspiration for me ever since I was young. What gave you the inspiration to start Etisalat, his company? And then he goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Now, what you need to realize is that big shots have very limited time. And so you have to be a person who is bringing value to them. People are attracted to value. What are you trying to offer in the conversation? And because a lot of those people already have financial resources and things of the sort, you can add value in a different way. So for instance, you could ask a person who is a big shot or who is a manager of a company, say, look, you've been such an inspiration to me throughout my career or anything of the sort. So, and then you can ask a question like, so tell me, what are 3 things that if you got, it will take your career to the next level? And I can tell you for sure, every single person on this planet has a problem. If it's Obama, if it's Bush, if it's the president of Ghana, everyone needs something in order to get to the next level. So you're trying to uncover this person to see what I call the person's thumb screw. You want to get to the emotional underpinning of how that person actually functions. So he said, oh, I mean, I think if I got A, B, and C, my company will go to level B. Or if my daughter got A, B, and C, she can do well in school. Then you can say, you can say, oh, actually, I know a book that I can recommend for you. You get what I'm saying? And when you say that, you wanna end the conversation when it's actually at a high, because when you stick with them for too long, they'll get rid of you. And when people get rid of you, it's difficult to ask for the contact. So you want to engage them up to a time where the conversation is actually hot and you're connecting. Then you can politely say, "Oh, I know you have to go talk to other people, and I'd like to, give you the freedom to do that. But before you go, I'd like to connect with you. How would you like to connect?" So you give them the opportunity to say, "I'd like to give you my email, my phone number. How would you like to connect?" So it's very straightforward, you know. And a critical example, I remember when I was at Harvard, I wanted to meet the dean of my school, and it was difficult. He's very busy, and so I got an appointment with him. And by the time I got there, he said, "I have 30 minutes. So what brings you here today?" And because they're so busy, they don't have time to like engage young people for too long. So I said, "Oh, I mean, we're here to learn about leadership, and you being sort of an example of leadership, I wanted to just come in and learn about you and your journey. And don't forget, everyone is emotional. They have a journey when they were young, things they went through, some of the challenges. And once you get people at an emotional level, it's easy for you to connect with them. You listen more. You ask like open-ended questions. And this dean kept me for an hour and a half when he said he was supposed to have me for 30 minutes. An hour and a half, and I had to be like, "I'm sorry, I have to go." And he actually followed me all the way. So open the person up. Make sure that you have a commonality in that sense, And so if you're in social entrepreneurship, you look for people that have that. If you're in accounting, look for people. But like more often than not, connect with people at an emotional level, have credibility, and end the conversation soon enough so that you're memorable. You're not the guy who's like nagging them and trying to push them to the wall. So that's what I would say first and foremost. 2, I would say add value. What value are you bringing to this individual? For instance, when I was at Harvard, we had the former advisor to the president of Ghana come to teach a law school class. And of course, there are so many classes, but you have to be very strategic about your career goals and what can send you there. And so I saw that this is an individual I'd like to connect with, and there's no better place to connect with them than a classroom. So because you're engaging with them on a daily basis or twice a week, you have more of an ability to connect with them, get to know them better. But don't forget, people want value. What is this person bringing to me? At the end of the day, what's in it for me? And so I'm into social entrepreneurship. He's a big lawyer. So at the end of the day, he sees that I write a lot, and that's one of the things I wanted to make. I write a lot. So in networking or anything for that matter, you're either a push or a pull. You're a push if you're the one asking the person to help you. You're a pull if they're coming to you. Now, you can be a pull in so many ways. One, I'll say blog. If you have an idea, there's something you're passionate about, blog about it, write about it, put yourself out there. Now, I'm speaking to you guys right now because one of the organizers found me on LinkedIn because I blog, I post about social entrepreneurship, I post about young people, I post about youth unemployment. Blog, write or have a podcast, have a vlog about many of the things you're passionate about. When you do that, you begin to have a following. People begin to see that this is an individual who can add value to me. Because then when you're doing that, people are coming to you, and other people see that other people are coming to you, they're also going to come to you. There's something we call informational social cue or social proof. Now, when people don't have enough information in regards to how to evaluate you, they're evaluating you based on how other people are responding to you. So just like many of you, if you're in high school, there's a guy who probably at the corner, no one is responding to him. As soon as he gets one girlfriend, other girls like him too. That's just an example. So blog, write articles about things you're passionate about, so that you can begin to draw people out there. You stand out because don't forget, you're competing with so many people, and in order for you to climb up the ladder, even within your organization, you need to stand out. You have to be different than other people, and you can do that by blogging, by writing, by speaking at events, by going to conferences, but make sure people are seeing you. And so that's what I would like to add in that regard. And when you've actually established contact with many of these people, it's important to stay in touch. Now, the way I keep in touch with people is that, like, every once in a while, if I met a person at a conference and I come across an article or a blog, anything, or a video, a TED talk of the sort that I think it'll interest them, I'll hit them up and say, look, I just came across it and I thought it would be interesting to you, so that you don't forget you. You understand? So it's important to create that when you've left the person, to create that commonality. And the other thing I'd like to talk about is be the node in the center of networks. Let people gather around you. Now, when I went to Columbia, or even at Cambridge, or even at Harvard, one of the things that I had the penchant for is bringing people together. Now, because I'm from Ghana, now in networking, one of the things I've always said is that you need to give first in order to receive. Now, people are usually very, very, very careful about what does this person want from me, but you want to give first. So what I do, maybe every semester, is that I organize, I would say, a sort of Ghanaian dish tasting. So you have kinky and all the kind of Ghanaian food. Come to think of it, it'll cost you around $200, but people don't forget something that's very different. It's an experience that they're not used to, and so they come and gather around you. So you're bringing people together, like, and that could be even in your workplace. You could say, look, every Friday or once every month, I'm going to bring people together to talk about something. A book, it could be to taste the food, talk about issues about Africa, to talk about anything. So you're bringing people together, and people should gather around you. So you become the central node in a network. So that's one of the things I'd also like to say that has helped me in many ways in building a network uh, uh, while I've been in school, or since I've been back in Ghana. So in a sense, find people who share similar values, similar purposes. Because I'm into social entrepreneurship since I've been back. I've been networking with people who are doing similar things. Either I ask someone in my network to connect me, or I know someone who knows them, or I just hit them up and say, look, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I wanted to get your thoughts, or I wanted to explore synergies. So usually when you bring it like that, it means that you have value to offer. It's not just like one way. Like, I was wondering if we might have synergy. Let's talk about coffee, and that has always helped me. So since I've been back, I've been exploring opportunities for us to engage in how all of us can play a role in helping young people, particularly around youth unemployment, and how social entrepreneurship and innovation can help us do that. So those are some of the tips that I'd like to say. So I'd say find people with similar values and purposes, build rapport, that's find commonality, talk less and listen more, add value by either blogging or vlogging, or having a podcast or something of the sort, that people are beginning to come to you, and stay in touch with people when you've connected with them, by actually providing value. So those are some of the things I would like to say that have helped me along the way in my networking. Hello there. Hello.
Yep.
Yeah, you can hear me,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
So I just
yes, we
want,
can hear
yeah.
you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to keep it short. Those are some of the experiences that have come in handy in my attempts at building a strong network of people across in Europe, in North America, and most recently at Harvard.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Were you concluding, or have I cut you short?
No, no. So I just ended.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So I've posted in the chat group. If any of you has a question, kindly just put it on the chat group as I prepare the slides for you all. In the meantime, Kushal Vitoni from Tanzania has a question for you. She's asking, most of the young people never knew about networking. What do you think are, in your experience, are measures to make youth more organized in this area? Or what ideas do you have about that?
Well, this is a great question, and I might not have all the ideas, but I might give some
You can
ideas
share those ideas that work for you.
which has worked for me.
Yeah.
I think building on also what Max said earlier, I'm also very passionate about youth. He's also very passionate about youth. Youth connector is something that youth themselves need to drive in many ways. So for me, what has worked is when I was youth. I mean, I'm still consider myself youth, but I was more youth than now. Many times, the way I would organize these kind of events among youth to professionalize ourselves has a lot to do with. Sorry.
Nagustusa maile. No, it's fine.
Sorry, could you,
It's a month.
just a moment as I mute
YALDA.
Okay, just unmute your microphone, Kushal, and go on.
Okay, yeah. Just to add very quickly to that, I think the way to be organized is a lot to do with youth themselves driving that synergy among the youth within their community, within their country, to have that network. For me, that's how it has worked as well, and it's a lot has to be done to be done from the time I was in university. When I left university, the alumni network that I was part of, and also the youth of my own community. When I go to Mauritius, for example, many of my friends, I mean, many of the youth that I see there, to connect, to make them be organized, I think a lot has to be for them to come to me as an organized group themselves. So just to say that I might not have the exact formula how to be better organized in that, but for me, what has worked is more volunteerism and getting the youth together where I was, to be able to organize it more, to get the value of networking. Because for example, at the UN right now, we have many association of youth who contacts us to tell them about career opportunities and all of this. The one which we really give a lot of substance to and we participate are the one who have organized themselves, have self-organized themselves, rather than someone who's a little bit not, I mean, a group that is not well established. So that's what I would say is organizing at your level is what I would say is key for that, and then using the network that you have to support you on how to actually get the best out of networking. Okay. I think that's from me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mark, please tell us, in your own experience, could you share an example of a situation where you networked and it got you to where you are? Because most of the people on this webinar are students in universities. Probably they're invited to a workshop and they have this goal. So let's say you're in a room, you're in a conference, and you've seen this person. Just give us a case scenario that is practical so they can sort of visualize how to bring that home to the local experiences.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think networking has been very, I would say, very central to many of the things that I did educationally, or even I would say putting yourself out there. Like for instance, so I just fundamentally graduated from Harvard on May the 30th, and it so happened that in 2016, my father passed away in Ghana, and I was going to come bury my father. So a week before I left Boston to bury my father in Ghana, I happened to be in Harvard Square, where Harvard University is, and I saw that they had an open house. At the time, I had actually lost my job. I was working in banking with Citigroup. A week before I left, as I mentioned, I was in the area, and I saw that they had an open house. So I'm just like, okay, I'll just go and check what's out there. So I just want to say, put yourself out there. So I went to the to the open house. Open house basically is like a public event where the university administration and professors come and deliver lectures and things of a sort about application, about financial aid, and all of that. And there were students from all over the world. Students who were sort of brimming with enthusiasm to apply and to go to Harvard. And so the staff gave a lot of presentations about the admissions process, about life on campus, and things of the sort. And after that, they asked a number of students they gave us an opportunity to just talk about what we were doing. And so it started from one person, and then it went to another person, and then it went to another person, and then it came to me. And at the time, I had actually written a proposal for what I wanted to do, sort of an innovation lab of sorts in Ghana to help train young people to get the entrepreneurship and innovation skills they need to be able to create jobs on their own, given I would say, the stratospheric rate of unemployment we have, not only in Ghana, but also the African continent. So when it came to me, I spoke about where I come from, about my interest in helping solve many of the issues in my father's community in Ghana, about my interest in the broader issues of the world, of climate change, of really wanting to change the narrative of Africa from what you see on TV of naked children, naked children who are sick and things of the sort, to children who are like happy and things of the sort. And so after I stopped talking, one of the professors was like, "You need to be here. Like, you need to be here." And so when the conference was over, he invited me over to come to his office, and then I left for Ghana. And can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I think someone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I left for Ghana, they kept sending me emails about, "Look, Mark, we like your profile. You need to apply." And so I applied, and I was accepted. And yeah.
Just kindly unmute your mic, Mark. I had to mute so that the interruption could stop.
Can you hear
Just
me now?
unmute your mic and go on.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead. Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So I was speaking about how just putting myself out there and letting two professors who me sort of gave me the opportunity to go to Harvard, and they were paying for it. So at the end of the day, there are so many people around the world who will be applying, but I had just happened to be at the right place at the right
This
time.
guy has so many masters. What?
Rati, please. Rati.
This one.
I think I can't talk about the presentation.
Yeah.
Of this situation. There's somebody called Rati on this webinar. We would like to ask you to kindly mute your mic because you are really causing disturbances. We can hear your conversations talking to everybody. So please, this person called Rati, please mute your mic so we stop hearing your conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Bukamu. Sorry for the interruption, Mark. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
So
please.
to cut a long story short, just because I was at the right place at the right time, I had the unique opportunity to go get my master's degree, the third one actually at Harvard, and they were paying for it. So that's just one example. And I remember when I arrived on campus, I wanted to involve myself in a lot of activities. So I was actually the student representative for my cohort, a class of 90 people. And because it brought me in contact with a lot of professors, by the time I had left, I had built a very strong network. And I'm also the kind of individual that in my first year, I was part of the Chinese Student Society, Korean Student Society, Spanish Student Society. I don't go to the meetings, all the meetings, but I try to engage them. So by the time you leave, what you need to realize is that the degree is great, your GPA is great, but the people you meet over there are the ones that'll play a pivotal role in how well you do when you leave. And so for me, since I've been back in Ghana, I get a lot of people sending me emails about, "Oh, Mark, I'd like to be involved in your project. I know this X, Y, and Z organization in Europe who would like to help your project." And it's been phenomenal. So those are just like two examples of like the way networking has helped me in my career.
Okay, thank you so much. I can see Kushal is saying he has to leave. Are you still with us, Kushal?
Yes, I'm still here for the next maybe
Okay.
minutes.
Okay, all right. So maybe just so that we can let you go, I will just ask you our final two questions, and then you can give us a last word on the topic.
Okay.
As someone working for one of the most prestigious organizations, I remember in your presentation you mentioned something about them having to add value to the conversation. Because, for example, the person who asked you, how can I join the UN? Yet they could have easily gotten that information online. That was not very creative of them. So, from your own experience, what are some of the things you'd be impressed by if a young person came up to you to network with you? What are the things you'd be like, okay, if you're confident, if I see maybe you're a great speaker, or basically if I look at you and you have these qualities, I can give you my time. But otherwise, you're not the kind of person I would like to sort of engage with. We would appreciate some tips on that. And then a question from the audience. Um, just a moment. Bethlehem Casa from Ethiopia is asking, how do you tell the difference of someone who is going to be valuable to you as a network and someone who is just going to just be in your contact list? Does it matter? Should you have people in your contact for the sake of it, or should you just purposefully look for those who you think are going to help you in your career or at any point in your life? So you can just kindly answer these questions and give us a final word, and we can let you go. Thank you so much. The floor is yours.
No, thank you very much for this question. On the first one, what I would say is, I think the first question was about, how to. Sorry, if you can repeat it, I lost it.
Yeah, sure. The question was, what are the qualities that would impress you if someone is to walk up to you in a workshop and they want to network with you
Okay,
and find out how to join the UN?
correct.
Obviously, sending an email is not qualities
Yeah,
that
correct. No,
personally stand out to me.
yes, I got it now. Yes. So the qualities that that I always looked for when someone walked to me is a few things. One is I like people to have that confidence in them when they're approaching me, that they're already prepared in a certain way, the way they present themselves. That's one. Second is really to be real, not to be stuck into now I have an opportunity to talk to me. I will fake it out in a certain way, meaning I will be serious in the way I talk. I will make my face very different because I'm talking to this person. No, I prefer when people are real, meaning if they want to joke about something, they want to smile about something, that's their personality. It's not a fake personality. The third thing is a lot about preparedness. I'm very impressed when people come prepared with what they want to ask me. For example, if they meet me and I'm just happening to drink a coffee in the in one of these and it's like a break time and they happen to be there and I'm drinking a coffee, they come and they don't really know what to ask me. So, for example, they're striking a conversation with regards to my name is X. I've seen your presentation on this. It was really powerful. It was very engaging. Do you mind if I might ask you a few questions on this? So these people are they just don't ask me a question that is general. Like I don't like when people ask me a question about how do I join the UN, or you have a very successful career at the UN. What are tips that you can give me about joining the UN? This is again that you have all of this information on the UN website, on the careers.un.org, which is our careers portal. All of these are there. There are presentations on these things. So I like authenticity. I like charisma. I like confidence. I like the person to be real, to be fun. Let's bring that element into the personality element, which I said the foundation of it. I will sense it. Now, how do you sense between what do you do with a fake networker and a real networker? From my experience is you will spot a fake networker by someone who is draining a lot of energy from you and you're not getting a lot out of it. Meaning, these people, when you meet them, they have so many questions, they have so many things they ask you, but down the line they never even had a networking goal of what they want to do with this information. Other kind of people is, if you're meeting someone that you're talking with and that person really doesn't have a connector with you, I will not even engage into that conversation. And it has happened to me in the course of my career. When I finished university or during the course of my career, I do meet people who I want to network with, but I already see that there's no sense of chemistry here. It might be because today there's no chemistry and maybe in 6 months there will be chemistry. These, for me at this stage, I will not even engage into bringing them in my network. On the social media aspect, I think you will be touching on that maybe later in your PowerPoints. You also need to clean up or review your social media networking list from time to time. You also need to know who are the people who you have approached, have really brought some value into what you wanted to do, without having too much of an expectation as well, like I said at the beginning, because managing that expectation is very important. So that's the questions that you brought in. Because I need to go right now, I will end the presentation by saying, you guys, all of you who are here today on the virtual teleconferencing, don't
Sorry, just a moment.
lose.
Let me mute all the microphones. You cannot. Okay, please go ahead to unmute Kushal. We couldn't hear you clearly.
No problem. My last piece of advice to
That's
all
good.
of you is, don't give up. I mean, if networking is an art, it's a process. It's something that you build along the way of your career, along the way of where you are right now. You know, it grows with maturity, with age, with experiences that you have along the course of where you are right now. Don't give up. Learn from it. Build good network. Build solid network. Manage the network. More importantly, you can have me in your network, but how you manage that network is very important. It's up to you. Along the course of the way, stay real. Never turn to become fake. Know what you want. Have networking goals. Very important. Like, if there's something I want you all to do when I leave the conversation today, when you finish the conversation today, sit down, reflect. What will be your networking goals for the next 1 month, 3 months, 6 months? And you can work toward this goal with people like me, with people like Mark, who also gave a very good, about his own journey. So that's the end of the thing I want to say. And good luck to all of you. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you for having me. And let's stay in touch, maybe for some other opportunities. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving us this time and for giving us very, very elaborate tips on how we can network. We really hope to take them to heart and use them in our various careers. Thank you so much, Shah. We are eternally grateful to you, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors. All right, so we're going to ask the final questions to Mark, and then we shall quickly go over the slides, recap what was discussed in this entire webinar, and then we shall summarize. We aim to be finished in the next 30 minutes, so in case anyone is rushing somewhere, just kindly bear with us. We are about to be done. So Mark, you have two questions specifically for you, and they're from Dajon, who is asking about your pointer when you talked about creating content and blogging. He's asking, what are the ways to build your audience when you do this? How do you market yourself and bring people on board? And the issue is that you can produce great content, collaborate with others, yet still feel as if your message or your agenda is not reaching people. So if you could kindly elaborate to him about that. Then also Richard from Nigeria is asking, networking with a big shot requires, okay, he's asking, how do you maintain contact with big shots? because they're very busy people, and it kind of gets awkward to keep sending them an email or so what is the appropriate level of engagement if, let's say, you meet the head of an organization, you want to network with them, but at the same time you don't want to seem like a bother in their life? So just kindly go ahead, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. First of all, thank you very much for those two questions. The first one, if I heard you correctly, is on content creation, and the second one is how do you maintain contact with big shots, right?
Yes. Yes,
Right.
please. The first
Okay.
one about content creation was how to get an audience.
Right. Right. Now, so content
Yes.
creation fundamentally is you're establishing yourself to become what I call sort of a subject matter expert in a particular domain. Whether that's on entrepreneurship or, let's say, computer science or mathematics or English, whatever it is. Now, there are steps to doing that. One, you need to know that when you start, building your brand in that sense, it'll start very small. So believe in sort of incremental growth. You're not gonna have 1,000 people following your blog or your Facebook post or your LinkedIn post and all of that within the first month. So be patient. Start small. Have a big ambition, but start very small, and use all the kind of social media that we have. We're blessed with all with Facebook, with Instagram, with LinkedIn, with blogs, places like Medium and things of the sort. So start small. Start inviting your friends to read your blog, and then they'll begin to share. They'll begin to share. And I'm sure many of the big people you see right now that are like subject matter experts in so many fields started very, very small, and over time it grew. So as people, you see, start small, but like turn out quality. I mean, quality content. Put a lot of work into creating very, very good stuff. Like one of my rules for like blogging is don't write more than 800 words. Less than between 1 and 800 words is fine, but make it very punchy, very well researched. You're talking about the issue, the current issues, and all of that, the data, what impact that has for whatever it is that you're doing. I write about social entrepreneurship. I write about climate change. I look at the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, what that means for development on the African continent. But it's very short, it's very punchy. You latch onto like current research, but it will take time to build a reputation for a particular thing. And so your social media should be used for that. Your blogs like Medium and all should be used for that. Because at the end of the day, as the gentleman from the UN mentioned, when people are in confusion in regards to how to treat you, they'll look at your social media to see what you're posting. And so you want your brand to what I say to be in sync, to be in harmony. You should have the same picture you have on Facebook, same picture on LinkedIn, same picture on Instagram. Your profile picture should be the same across board. So when someone looks you up, there's synergy. You're the same person every single place. Your message is very consistent, it's very clear, there's simplicity and all of that. So that's what I would say. So, you know, write quality content, but give yourself time. It'll take a lot of years to build a brand and to become well known for particular things. And then, as far as the question regards to how to stay in touch with big shots is concerned, I'll talk about value. You have to be of value. Now, when they meet a lot of people, but what makes you different? You see, a lot of big shots are used to people taking from them. So when they meet you, by default, they think you want to take from them. And so what the gentleman from the UN had mentioned that you have to like talk less and listen more. Don't fake it, but ask them like open-ended questions. Let it be, oh, I followed you for a while. I like if it's a professor. Oh, I read the article A, B, and C that you wrote about subject X, Y, and Z, and I was really, really, really interested in this paragraph that say A, B, and C. You've done your research about them. And so when you say that, it allows them to go very deeply into their own, because people like talking about themselves. And so the more you give them an opportunity to talk about their work, the more they feel that they're connected to you. You understand? And so after that, you can say, okay, this is wonderful. Based on what you said, I think you should read book A, B, and C. Take their email, be of value. So every once in a while, it's been a while. I just came across article A, B, and C that I think could be good for your work, and you send it to them. So you stay in touch. So that makes you very different, because big shots they're used to people taking from them. So you don't want to take. Of course, you want to take over the long pool, but you need to give first. You need to give much more than you're taking. And so when you're giving, you're of value to them. Because if you're not of value to them, they'll get rid of you. You know, so that's how I would say you should stay in touch with them. Since I've been back, I've met up with former President Jerry Rawlings. I've met up with the current Vice President. I've met up with ministers of state and things of the sort. Why are they meeting up with me? I mean, of course, I'm just a young man who just graduated, but I'm bringing value. Harvard wrote an article about me wanting to solve youth unemployment because when I was at Harvard, I dedicated like the majority of my work at Harvard to youth unemployment, to innovation, to social entrepreneurship. And so because they've actually written about me, they've given me credibility. So in a sense, people, when I shoot someone an email and say, look, I'd like to meet A, B, and C, this is the work I'm doing, this is a link to the article, they read that, they want to meet you because you have credibility. So people want to meet you if you can give them value. Other than that, they don't have time. The time is so precious that unless of course you're offering something to them, they'll get rid of you in no time. So be of value when you meet them. Open them up. Ask them what they would need to get their career to the next level. What they would need to solve, operation problem A or strategy problem B, and just recommend a book. You see, those people have enough money. You can't give them money. What you can give them is knowledge. What you can give them is books. What you can give them is links to articles. What you can give them is experiences. So those are some of the things that will help you stay in touch with them. Or they could even say, like for instance, one big shot sent me a message yesterday saying, "Look, there's a young woman that's going to school in the U.S. and I want you to meet up with her tomorrow to share your experiences." You see, that person, I'm of value. I can give him money, but because he knows that I know certain things about going to school in the U.S., going to school in the U.K., going to school even in Ghana, he refers people to me, and that keeps me in touch with them. So those are some of the things I would say that you should use to stay in touch with them. Is that helpful?
Yes, that's extremely helpful. Thank you so much.
Right.
Are you rushing as well, or you will be with us till the end of the webinar?
Oh no, actually I'm here. It's actually raining, so so I can't even go out.
Okay, all right. Pleasure to have you on board. So I'll just at the end
Good evening, good afternoon.
last word. Belmasi, thank you for joining us. I've kindly muted your mic. We shall give you an opportunity to ask anything later on, or you can just send a message via chat. All right, thank you so much, Mark. I will invite you towards the end so you can give a final word, if you don't mind.
Please, I have a question, please. Is it possible?
Please, yeah, type the question on the chat, and then we shall get to it at the end, if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead with my presentation, and most of the speakers have elaborated on many of the tips. I will just give my own experience from what I have done and what has worked for me. Then I shall end my presentation with recaps of what the speakers have talked about, of course, adding my own experience. So my challenge is that most of the young people of today do not know how to dress appropriately, and first impression matters. You cannot go for a workshop and you're wearing jeans and something very either skimpy or flamboyant, and you expect anyone to take you seriously. So first impression matters. If you want to network with anyone and you want to be taken seriously, dress well. You don't have to dress expensively. Just make sure your hair is combed, your shoes are clean. I mean, there are small things, but they really matter. Most people think when you say dress well, okay, put on a designer watch or anything like that. No, it doesn't matter. Just groom yourself well. Imagine walking up to anyone, trying to network with them, and there's something stuck in your teeth, or you have a bad breath, and you're asking them how they can hire you, or you want to add value to them. They're not going to listen to you. So grooming is underrated, but it really, really, really matters. Next, what worked for me is invest in personal development to build knowledge and confidence. To be honest with you, it's not easy. Like one of the speakers mentioned, Mark, you're going to go for a conference, there are probably 100 youth there, and they're all hungry for success. And you will see the person you want to talk to. They're never going to be standing alone or seated alone. You have to walk up to them, probably have to to get their attention, because everyone will be wanting their attention. And if you don't have confidence, or if you're not confident enough to get their attention, walk up to them like, hi, I am Natalie, I am with YALDA, and I would like to ask you this question, or can I please have a minute of your time? And confidence will not find you in your room, or will not fall from the sky and land into you. Unfortunately, this is something you have to invest. And what works for me is read. When you read a lot, you have information. And when you have information, you find that whenever you network, you automatically have something of value to add to the people you speak about. For example, if you go to a conference on climate change and you know nothing about climate change, obviously you can't network, because everyone there has come there for a reason. And my third point is clean up your social media. Clean up your social media. I cannot emphasize this point. There's a young lady who was asking for a job, and I remember she sent me a WhatsApp message, and on her display picture, it was a picture of underwear. Can you imagine? So people think, okay, LinkedIn, maybe Facebook, or these other sites are where you can be serious. But even WhatsApp matters in this day and age. You need to sit down and look at all your social media. Are there any pictures on Facebook you wouldn't want a potential employer or networker to see? Because to be honest, if someone wants to know about you, the first place they go is your social media. Nowadays, there's even WhatsApp status. You may take it for granted that your people in your contact don't see your WhatsApp status, but they do. So make sure that the memes you're posting, the pictures you're putting up reflect the message you want to put out there. Otherwise, it's going to be really useless, and the networks you have will not take you seriously. My next point is have a database of contacts from business cards and basically any contact you get. Now, what usually happens, I'm sure most of us can relate to this experience. You go for a conference, you get a business card, and you don't even save the person's number. You go home, you put the business card either on a table or somewhere or in your pocket, and you forget about it. One day you need the contact and you do not know where to look. So what I usually do, I have what they call a folder. Anytime I get a business card, I put it in that folder. So I have a collection. And then when I get time, I create an Excel sheet and organize the contacts according to what they do and how I rate their importance and how I should network with them. Because your network is your net worth. The people you know in your contact list are the people who are going to be of value to you today or tomorrow. And if you don't have their contacts or email addresses, then that is the best place to start. So whenever you go for a workshop or conference, don't throw away those business cards. Put them somewhere, and then when you get time, find a way to create the information. You can either put it in an Excel file, or you take pictures of the business cards and save them on Google Drive. It really, really helps. Next is, sorry, someone is not heard. I have to mute everyone again. Please, if you join this webinar, kindly mute your microphone and do not interrupt people who have been with us from the start. My next tip is do not be quick to leave WhatsApp groups. I have friends who, whenever they're added to WhatsApp groups, they leave. But I found out actually that WhatsApp groups, well, it depends on what the WhatsApp group is all about. If it's about maybe drinking or going out, I'm not so sure that's the best place to network. But there are WhatsApp groups where you added onto, and on that group, there are people who could be valuable to you. So you may think, okay, I've been added to this group, it's going to be a bother to me, and I'm going to put it on mute. But wait to leave until you are 100% certain that you're not going to use the people in that group at any one point in time. So if you look at my WhatsApp, it's really busy. I'm in a lot of groups, but I can tell you there have been 2 or 3 situations where I've gotten a contact from a WhatsApp group who has given someone I know a job, or who has given me advice that has been valuable. So it's a very underrated thing, but there's so many people who are on WhatsApp groups whose contacts you can use. So before you leave any group, make sure that you're 100% certain that the people that are there or the contacts that are there are not useful to you. Next is, it helps to research on the person or company you want to network with. Like Mr. Kushal mentioned before, I mean, you don't just walk up to anyone you want to network with. You don't know their name, you don't know what their position is or their role, and basically you ask the basics, which really wastes your time and the other person's time, because it shows you're not serious about what you want to do. So let's say you're going for a conference or a workshop, obviously you know the people who are likely to be there, the speakers. Let's say, for example, Marco Kuchalo is going to be there. Take a moment, go to their LinkedIn, see, okay, what has this person done? If I meet them, what are the questions I can ask? If you prepare yourself beforehand, you won't be stuck when you're in the same room with them and you're probably dumbfounded or your tongue is tied. So try to do your research and due diligence so that when you get the opportunity, it finds you ready and as sharp as a knife. Lastly, I would encourage you to join activities that will increase the quality of people you interact with. If let's say you only go to university, you only go to what? To hiking activities with your friends and then night outs, where exactly are you going to meet the people you want to network with? You need to sit down and think, okay, the kind of people I want to interact with, where do they hang out? And some of the clubs or activities that I've joined, which have given me leverage and made me meet bankers, CEOs, and people that can add value to me, are one, Rotaract. Rotaract always has a vast array of people with diversified personalities and experience. So just volunteer, join a Rotaract club around you, or Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a public speaking organization, and it also always has a vast array of people because you are the average of the people you interact with, and you can't expect to just have your university friends and build yourself. You have to get out of your way so that you can go to places where these people are and make sure you interact with them, see how they speak, how they dress, what they talk about, or even the cars they drive. You know, it could inspire you to be a better person. So you can just go there and observe, and then when you get the courage, of course, you approach them. But they're not going to find you in your comfort zone. You have to get out there. These are just limited examples, but you can sit down and think of, okay, I am in Nairobi, I am in Ghana, I am in Uganda. What are the activities that are going on in my city where I can be a part of? It won't break my pockets, but I am sure that the people I'm bound to meet there will add value to me. So just to give you an experience, maybe to share my story with you, it could inspire someone. Networking is the reason I am who I am today. I was studying my law degree in Mauritius, and I was looking for something to do. So I was at a university workshop, and a gentleman called Mr. Diane Risti came to give a talk. And I was inspired by the way he spoke, the fact that he was really successful. Of course, I was nervous, but I knew I wanted to work with him. I didn't know how, I didn't know when or where, how it's going to happen. So I made up a strategy. I asked around me, okay, where does this speaker work? Where exactly are they? And then they told me he is a preacher at a certain church. So some may call it stalking, but it really helped. So I got to know information about him. Then I went to his church. And then after the sermon, I put him aside and asked him, "Hi, Mr. Diane, my name is Natalie. I am at University of Middlesex. I really loved your workshop, and I think I could add value to your company." To be honest, he was shocked, like, "Oh, okay. Who is this young person approaching me randomly?" And I got his attention. I didn't know what I was going to say after that, but at least had gotten his attention. So he gave me his business card. I was like, "You know what? Email me and we start the conversation." So of course I emailed him. I sent him my CV, and to date I am still working with him, the same company. I hadn't even graduated, so he didn't ask about my degree. But the fact that I was confident enough to show him I wanted to add value to him, he sat down and listened to me, and that was what's important. So do not be afraid to network. As so long as you know you're going to add value to the other person, it always comes back to pay you in one way or another. So that is the end of my own presentation. Most of the tips were already mentioned, so I will just go through a recap of what was said by the speakers, and then we shall conclude this. So from Mark and we talked about having integrity, developing your grooming and presentation skills, building a formidable social media profile, getting out of your comfort zone and approaching people, having a networking goal every month, building on connections early and keeping engaging with anyone you've networked with. That's really important. Next, you have to engage effectively. Don't ask questions whose information you can't find online. Next, you have to have a strategy. Otherwise, you waste both your time and the person you're networking with. That's very important. Then have a plan beforehand. Mark mentioned about this, Rhoda talked about it, what you want to get out of it, either the engagement with the person or the workshop you're attending. Then, of course, listen much more than you talk. Then find a creative way of adding value to the person you're talking to and can stand out above the rest. Then lastly, make sure you connect on an emotional level. These people are human beings, so if they snub you, it's not because they want to. Most of the time they're stressed, they're big people, and you need to connect with them on an emotional level and try to not waste their time. So that was an overview of what was discussed. So I'm going to hand over the floor to Mark. Do you have any last remarks that you can share with the speakers? And then we shall conclude
Yes,
this
yes,
webinar.
yes. I'd like to, lastly, thank all of you for the unique opportunity to share my experiences with you. And I think it speaks volumes about, as I mentioned earlier, how all of us have a stake. We all have a stake in growing or developing Africa, and no matter what you do, whether you're in entrepreneurship, you're a student, and all of that. I think it's important for you to imbibe many of the principles that have been outlined in this conversation, so that you can build a strong network. Because I can tell you for sure, even institutions, going to top institutions like Cambridge, where I went, Columbia, Harvard, even networking is still important. So, put yourself out there as some of the things that have been said. If you're looking to go and do a master's in public policy, how would you differentiate yourself from the other applicant? You're, as I mentioned, you're either a push or a pull, and so begin to do many of the things you want to do before you graduate. Don't wait until you leave to go and apply for jobs in marketing. While you're in school, you can be like, okay, there's a marketing problem with company A, B, and C, or even the university. I'm going to start writing about it, so that you then create traction around you before you graduate. People begin to come to you. And so, in essence, some of the things that I outlined, I would like to mention again are find people with similar interests. That is, before you go to a conference or workshop and things of the sort, do research about some of the people you want to meet before you meet them. Build rapport, find commonality, find synergy, find things that you and the person have in common. Like, for instance, the facilitator just said, she went to school in Mauritius. If she was meeting the guy from the UN, she could say, look, oh, I saw that you're from Mauritius. I went to school over there. Oh, really? So there's something to connect with. Always find something you can connect with. Like, oh, I'm from the city. I see that you're from there as well. Oh, that's wonderful. I saw that you were born in April. I'm also an April born. Find a commonality and add value. Like, literally, be of help to them. Find a creative way, as we mentioned, to be of help to them, and give before you can take. You're going to take ultimately, but give before you can take. You give of yourself. That is listening. You're giving. Give of something that the person is lacking, and stay in touch by dropping, frequent articles, blogs that you come across that you think could be of help to them. So that's, in a nutshell, that's one of the things that I'd like to end with.
Really appreciate you taking your time and giving us this valuable feedback. We hope that all those listening will take the advice to heart, because it's one thing listening and it's another putting everything that has been spoken about in action. So we really look forward to hearing your success stories as you go ahead and take on the market. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for taking the time to speak to us.
Welcome, and they're also free to connect with me on social media. I think my Facebook is full, but you can follow me on Instagram or even my personal page. And feel free to shoot me any question you have as you go along your career about even studying in the United States or anywhere in the world. I'll be happy to share my experiences with you.
That's really nice of you. What is your Instagram handle?
It's mac.saba. Just my first name dot my last name.
Okay, so all those listening, you can connect with Mark on Instagram. The spelling of his name is MAC. Dotsaba, yes?
Saba, yes. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Now
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. All right. Now, next, I would like a very formidable lady to share some advice with us. She's called Bukamu Laone. Most of you who are with YALDA branches already know about her, and she's also managed to be a force to reckon with in the networking world. I mean, I was just teasing her the other day about how if you need anything, it's probably in Bukamu's phone book. So she can as well give us just pointers. How has she done it? How has networking helped her as a person? And what does she think we can all learn and take away from her experience? Bukamu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everybody. And those who
Sorry, you're breaking, Bukamu. Could you repeat that?
can you hear me now?
Yes, I think that's a bit more clear.
Okay, sorry, I'm on my phone and I was having another call. Some people who will know me will know that one of the reasons that we actually founded YALDA, and that's why I want to come in last to make this intervention, is because we realized how important networking is. And we wanted everybody who's a YALDA member to network like crazy. I realized how networking is very important when I was in high school. And we used to call it in high school in Botswana, we used to say, I'm going to make konakis. I mean, that's a Botswana way of saying connections. And I'm going to try and be very short. But one of the things in my experience that we didn't touch upon here so much, but I want to also add as part of how you can network, because I think it's very important with what has also been said, which is my strategy and what I use, is that when I meet people, I tell them about who I am and everything, but sometimes I don't have that information about them. I didn't have the time to research them because I was just at an event. I thought I'd wanted to meet this. Then I heard this phenomenal person speak, and I'm like, okay, then how do I approach this person and then be part of their network? And one of the things, I kid you not, and I'm not trying to be, but YALDA itself for me has helped me increase my network exponentially. And I'll give you an example. It's when I approach people and then I say, okay, they're not gonna, I haven't researched them. I didn't follow all the rules or all the tips and everything that I've been given on the YALDA webinar networking 101. Oh my goodness, how am I gonna make an impression on that person? You make a huge impression on telling people about your volunteer work and your selfless service to others. I am kidding you not. It has worked for me all the time. So what I mean about that is that when you are approaching somebody and you tell them, oh, yes, I heard what you said. It was amazing. And I feel that this would be great because I work with young people on the continent, helping them to empower them. And I think what you have said could really, really be of benefit to some young people who would maybe want to come and hear you speak, or so we can get you to write something for us or something. You are asking for something, but the key is that you're not asking for yourself. And that is very, very key in networking. So when I've gone around and I'm asking people for things, not for me as Bugamula or Nehulela, but for things related to you guys as YALDA members that I know this speaker is going to be great because you guys are going to get to hear the speaker, or you guys I am telling you that has increased my network exponentially. And in fact, just to finish off, that's how I even got one of my jobs. I went to an event and I was there. It was when Fred Swanica actually was starting African Leadership Academy. I went there. Achaleke was there from McKinsey and other people. And they asked me, why are you there at the event? I said, no, we have this youth organization and it's an African youth organization for networking. And I'm here because I want to see how we can get more professionals to be mentors for our young people. Which brings me to my last and second point is this is Africa. There are many people on the African continent that are interested in the development of our continent. They are really interested in helping young people. They do not have that platform. And you will be amazed at when you ask for something and go boldly, ask for it for others, not for yourself. Your network will open up very, very quickly. So this is just to add another tip and another way that you can possibly also network that for me has 100% or 150% been so useful for me. So when people were coming to Morocco last year and you guys are able to get visas on arrival and very quickly not pay for visas, get Royal Air Morocco to give you 50%, 60% discounts. This is not it's not rocket science. It's not because I have special powers or anything. I'm just saying this to say to people is because I approach those people with the fact of this is not for me what we are doing. This is for the betterment of the African continent and youth. And now today I can call some of those directors at Royal Air Morocco for things maybe for me, right? But I didn't start off with me. I started off with you guys. And how is it that I'm going to help you guys in the YALDA network and not myself? That's my intervention. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Bukamu. Are you still on? I know you had concluded. Hello? Okay, I think probably there was an interruption. Thank you all for really making the time to have joined this webinar. I see we have 38 of us online, but at the beginning of the call, it was around 40. And the fact that you've taken time to sit in, listen to the discussions that have been shared, and maybe find a way of incorporating them into your lives is really going to help you. So I hope you were able to take down notes. But in case some of you joined the webinar late and were unable to, we're going to be sharing the information and the recaps that were shared by the speakers. So feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll be more than happy to give you that information. Just going to go through the chat and see if there are any questions that were not answered. And I'm seeing Viton is saying that she received her portion of today on networking the youth. Let us join together, team up our careers. Indeed, the knowledge filled from this meeting has made me a better person today. Thank you for your appreciation. We really hope that you guys will benefit more and take everything into action. Salama Mutasa, you're saying thank you to all the speakers. We appreciate you for being with us. Thank you so much. Fantastic session. Clive is saying thanks to all the presenters and organizers. I will definitely leave with some helpful insights. We appreciate you for that. Thank you. Wasama is also saying thank you to all the speakers. Wanja is asking Mark if he has a Twitter handle. Wanja, I would advise you reach him on Instagram. He gave us his handle. I believe I remember it was mark.saba. Then you can DM him and ask him about that. Shali is thanking the speakers. Thank you, Shali. Thank you, Mechi. Basically, thank you, everyone. I apologize we could not get you to speak, but as you understand, there are quite many of you, so that opportunity would sort of disorganize the whole session. But if you really have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to any of us. And those who are in YALDA branches, YALDA EDs, don't forget to submit your monthly, well, rather your quarterly reports. We shall be watching out for that. And yeah, basically keep on keeping on. Take everything we've told you to heart and increase your network. Remember, your network is your network. So until the next webinar, it's been a pleasure hosting this, and it's really been a pleasure having you all online. Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.